Bobby Dirkens here. I know it's confusing. I started streaming a little earlier, and long story short, I had something I had to take care of. I even deleted the video. So if you're joining me or you're rewatching this, I'm gonna go ahead and get that window out of the way. Um, Thanks for rejoining me. Sorry for the confusion and everything, but duty calls. Duty calls. You have to stop what you're doing. What's up, Bulldog Nation? Dr. 2K. I just got finished watching my buddy Pigskin Pete down there. We are going to collab somehow, some way. We've talked about several ways that we were going to do it. But as I said just a second ago, I see a bunch of people that's joining me automatically. You're joining me right now. What up, Bobby? Hey, Tiger Nation. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see Michael Lance. I am a sexy beast. Let me tell you this. I work out every day to look like this. Every day. Every day. Boise State wins the Coastal. True Blue. True Blue, glad you're back. I'm telling you right now, if Boise State's a lot better than most of the teams in the Coastal. Miami is tougher this year. But anyway, I started my preview and ended up having to stop it. And y'all forgive me, I'm getting used to this view. I'm used to looking straight on, but I am looking right there. And so if I look back at my screen, y'all forgive me for that. So it's growing pains, like I said earlier. It's like having to get rid of you're constipated and you're having to give birth to basically a baby turd. And it's like giving birth to pulpwood. There's a little blood involved, but you eventually get it out and you feel better. So here we go. The ACC, just kind of go over the breakup. We have the Atlantic and the Coastal Division. And in the Atlantic Division, actually, and I'm going to go ahead and say this, and I know I'm going to piss off a lot of people in the ACC for saying this, but I really don't care because even though I pull for a team in the ACC, I'm not a conference guy. Every now and again, one of our guys from a conference will play somebody, and I'll go, I kind of hope they win. But if they don't, my life's not ruined. And if they do win, all of a sudden my team hasn't just picked up a win, meaning I'm not a conference guy. I'm not a conference guy. It's annoying, but what's up, Clemson Jacob? Glad you're back, buddy. So, the Atlantic Division, as I said, the Atlantic Coast is a very. It's not the easiest conference, but it's not a difficult conference. It's really not. In the Atlantic Division, we're looking at the majority, except for Miami. You're looking at the majority of the teams who's actually going to do something in the conference. I mean, it really is. So as we're looking at this, let's break down the Atlantic Division. Let's break down the Coastal Division. Starting off with Clemson Tigers. I mean, representing Florida State over the past, since they joined the conference, late 80s, early 90s, they dominated the conference for years. I mean, you just got to think, just 5 years ago, they won the national championship. Sterling Swartz, I'm 23, have cerebral palsy. You brighten my day. Hey, Sterling, buddy, that means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I hope I do brighten your day, and we're all praying for you. And I don't say that in we're praying in some great spirit just floating around. I'm praying you get better, buddy. You get to get some help, get some relief there. But thank you, Sterling, for joining me. It means a lot to me. But Clemson, let's just be in hey, Bowser Nation. Clemson or Florida State just 5 years ago, they were in the national championship and they win it. And you go 5 years later, you're looking at a team who was ranked preseason number 3. I thought that was too high. I thought Florida State was a top 15 team, maybe a top 12 team. And then they play Bama down in the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Francois gets hurt. Later on, they have some injuries. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you, Florida State recruits really well. So it's not like they were bringing in the school of the deaf and blind to play for them. Experience does mean something, but at the same time, there was much more going on in the locker room. We know that from Jimbo leaving. He's gone. So at the end of the day, let's just be honest with ourselves. We knew something like this was going to happen. When I saw Jimbo get in an argument with a fan, I said, "Oh, then he does leave, and you put 2 and 2 together." And for those of y'all who don't know math, that equals 4. I had to pull my socks off for that one, but it is true. I'm a Georgia fan, Sterling Swartz. I'm a Georgia fan, but I'm looking for a Georgia Clemson national championship. Hey, I think it would be. You talk about stuff that's good for college football. I don't always harp on that. I think that would be epic. Georgia Clemson, that would be awesome, Sterling, and we'd love it. That would be a lot of fun in my book. But anyway, but Florida State, they got Willie Taggart. There's this whole bounce around that James Blackman is not going to be that he's going to be the starting quarterback. But between you and I think that Francois, if he's 100%, he's definitely starting. I think he is the man to start. You do have to think the year before that they had an awkward year. You remember they went up to Louisville and got beat like 62-20. I mean, it was really, really whacked out. In fact, let me look through a score I have here. That was 63-20. I was off a number, but here's the deal. Let's be honest with ourselves. Florida State's going to come back, but just because of talent. Now, if they don't, they will make another coaching change. You know it. I know it because they don't want to play around with that. When I look at who could fall in number 3, number 4, number 5, all of this bunch of stuff, it's really a toss-up. I mean, Boston College they don't suck. I mean, Dylan is a talented back, and I think that he will do really good things there. So definitely, Louisville, what are they going to be without Lamar Jackson? What are they going to do? Petrino, whether you love him, whether you hate him, the truth is he is a good football coach. All right? So he's definitely going to do some good things here. That's Bobby Dirkens Jr. down there crying. Hey, Junior, will you go down there and check on him? These good people out here is going to lose their mind if they anyway. He's down there with his mama, but he's standing at the bottom of the gate screaming. He wants to come up here and lose his mind. NC State has Ryan Finley. They do have talent on the team, but they lost Hines. They lost that other youngin. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head, but at the end of the day, you can't lose talent like that unless you have a replacement for it to come right back in and just try to take over everything. I mean, you just can't. So I mean, I could see NC State, Boston College. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Hey, thank you for joining me. Thank you, Bradley Chubb. Yeah, I mean, you got to replace him, Sterling. I mean, at the end of the day, this is who we have. So I believe that it's going to be Clemson. It's going to be Florida State. Going to be a jumbled up mess. I think Syracuse is probably going to land at the bottom. Maybe Wake Forest. It's just going to be a jumble. I think when Syracuse comes to Death Valley, they're going to play a Clemson team who is going to drop their drawers and take a peanut-filled dookie on them and say, yeah, we were all nice and stuff to you last year that you beat us and gave us our one regular season loss of the year, but we're paying you back. And it's going to be nuts. It's going to be really nuts. But Clemson lost that game. It's over and done with. It's embarrassing, but still even made it to the playoffs. So here we go. Coastal Division. Coastal Division is just, let's just be honest with ourselves. Coastal Division sucks. You have Miami, and then you have the School of the Deaf and Blind. You have the Blue Bonnet Ladies. You have the Happy Tappers of somewhere. You have Doo-Doo State. Who knew that Virginia Tech would end up falling off like this past couple of years? They've shown promise. They got to the conference championship, I know, a couple of years ago. But who knew that when Miami and Virginia Tech joined the ACC that some of their best years was going to be behind them up until recently? I mean, who really knew this? I mean, Virginia Tech, They won their division 2 years ago. This past year, Miami won it. But really, prior than that, Volunteer Roadshow, you're back. Thank you. I'm glad you're back. Here's the deal, Volunteer. Listen to me. Listen to me. I'm glad you're back. I deleted the last video I streamed because there was an interruption at the end. I had ended up having to leave. Send me your contact information again. You sent me your email. Send me your email address again. I think I remember it, but every now and again I get to swimmy head and I can't think right. Or one of my kids break when. VolunteerRoadshow@gmail.com. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will be hitting you up. You will be hearing from me. This is awesome. I'm glad Volunteer Roadshow's on here. A lot of respect for him. Hit 1,000 subscriptions this morning. And anyway, you need, if you don't know Volunteer Roadshow, you're missing out. You need to go subscribe to him right now. He and I are going to try to get together. Pigskin Pete was just on here just a second ago. And so we're going to end up doing something. I think it would be great to see some of us get together and intermingle and talk because, you know, I'm like y'all. I watch a lot of the major networks and stuff, but at the same time, after a while, they turn college football into some type of social issue. And, you know, I do care about social issues, but when I think you're wrong or you're playing an angle on it, after a while I just hit the mute button and I don't pay attention to it. So I'm really glad that we stick to things here. So I'm looking forward to, I'm glad Roadshow was back. We're talking about the Coastal Division of the ACC. We're talking about how Miami and Virginia Tech, they joined, what 10 years ago, something like that, and it just went from there. I know Virginia Tech, they did win their division a couple of years ago. Last year, Miami wins their division. But considering what they were right when they joined the conference, you got to think that Miami was, you know, 5 years maybe removed from a national championship. Virginia Tech had been playing strong ball, and it's just like it went downhill. And it wasn't like they were part of some great conference. The Big East was not killing it at the time. So they come to the ACC. But at the end of the day, let me see, Sterling Sports is a past drawing winner in my show. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm glad. I'm going to have to enter one of those contests you got. Looking for something real nice. Real nice. Let me see. Miami's first game next season, definitely a Mark Richt choke game. I have to look at that. What is that? What is that? Tell me. What is their next what's their next game? I don't know. I haven't looked at their at the opener next year. LSU. Possibly. Oh, you're talking about this coming season. This coming season, I know y'all think that I'm crazy. Ask my wife; she'd tell you I am. I did a LSU video just a couple of days ago. Previewed them. I previewed Miami. And I will go ahead and tell you this, that I've already got like this big old thing from a Miami fan who told me how wrong I was for saying what I said about them last year. All I said about them that I have a problem. I thought you were talking about next season. Sorry, guys. I thought you were talking about Miami's game next season in 2019. Yeah, their first game this year is LSU. It's going to be in Arlington. But all I said was, yeah, Miami went undefeated until the very last week of the regular season, and they ended up losing to Pittsburgh. We know what that's like. That happens. But they turn around and they get the crap beat out of them by Clemson. What I was going to say is preview Bama Colton Brown. Colton, I have been seeing your requests. Sorry I hadn't responded to some of y'all online. I am going to do one on Bama as we get closer to the season. I'm also going to do one on those dirty chickens down there in Columbia. And let me go ahead and tell you right now, I'm going to let y'all know the date I'm going to release that. And I promise y'all, by the time I get done, it will be a state law that I can't drive through Columbia. And it will be worth it because it's going to be epic. Epic. Now, I will tell the truth about their current season, but I will tell you how I truly feel about the Gamecocks. In fact, I always tell you how I truly feel about the Gamecocks. So, back to conference. Going off of Miami, what we're talking about, here's the deal. Miami. I just don't like gimmicks to have to get people fired up to play ball. Um, we always get into this discussion about whether players should be paid. They are paid. How many of you would like to pull up? Let's do this. I'm online right now. We need Orgeron to stay at LSU as long as possible. You know what? I think he's a good. He's like a good coordinator. And think about how much coordinating pays these days. I mean, we talk about some of these guys getting fired, and their payout is like $3 million. Do the math on someone who earns $40,000 or $50,000 a year. $50,000 a year in 10 years is $500,000. In 30 years, which is most people's working lives, I know it goes much farther than that, is $1.5 million. A lot of these cats are getting paid out, $2 or $3 million, $4 or $5 million to not do anything. It's just to honor I don't know, sit around, honor a contract. And we sitting here worried about them and everything. And no, we don't need it. I know they're human beings. And you know me, I just really don't beat up on people that much, unless it's my family. I'm talking about talk bad about them. But I just don't see him as a great head coach. I see him more as a coordinator. And hey, that's perfectly fine because a man makes a lot more money than all of us put together. But I'm gonna go on here, and I'm gonna type in tuition to the University of Miami. Tuition, Miami, Florida, that is, not of Ohio. Y'all bear with me. I have the typing skills of Mittens the cat. University tuition. All right, here's the tuition to the University of Miami. Cost of attendance, room and board. Now, I'm just pulling this off Google. I'm asking Google. I just type in Miami, Florida University tuition. Is this Google? No, this is Bing. Why am I on Bing? Have I lost my flipping mind? Google.com. I'm just going to copy and paste it because somebody goes, you didn't ask Google. Well, I'm about to ask Google. And I don't think you're going to like what it's going to say. Here we go. Dear Lord. Average cost after aid. This is after aid. Is $33,000. $33,000. To Miami. Seriously. I'm not kidding. That's after aid. And we say we don't pay these players. We say we don't, and I'm not going down that whole trail, but I'm just going to lay it out, and I can lay this out pretty quick. We're all beating our heads up going, should we pay them? Should we not pay them? They are being paid. Tell them they got to come down to Miami. Tell them they got to go to Clemson. Tell them that they got to go to Alabama, and they have to play football, but they have to figure out how to keep their grades up just like everybody else, and they have to pay for their schooling. I mean, come on, let's use our brains, y'all. What's up, Boonk Gang? Glad you're here, buddy. But I'm serious. Take Miami. Take Miami football players. They are being paid. They're being paid to come play, and all these players are being paid to play. They're worshipped by women. There's girls that's way out of these boys' leagues, but because they can run a football, all of a sudden they're dating the prettiest girl in the city of Miami. As to where if he didn't, she would look at him and say, "Get away from me! I don't like you. I'm repulsed by you. Who do you think you are approaching me?" They are given special treatment all the time, but they had to bring up a chain to get everybody fired up. The gimmicks, I can understand to a point. All these people say, well, they're 18-year-old kids. They're not kids. They're guys. I'm not going to call them men, but they're not kids. They're guys. So that's where I picked at Miami, and some Miami fan got their pants, something crawled up in their drawers and died, and started bringing up the whole hurricane and everything. My dad used to drive a bus for all these big teams. All these big teams spend days at a time with them, and I'll never forget all these teams trying to act like Hurricane Katrina was just the main reason they played. And he said, they would mention, they talk about how bad they hated it, but the media was playing it off like they were just playing for the people of that region. And quite honestly, they barely mentioned Hurricane Katrina unless there was a mic in front of their face. And I know that's going to piss off some people. Go, how dare you? The truth sucks, doesn't it? The truth sucks. I'm sorry, I didn't make that up. That's real. That's real. They might mention it here or there, but at the end of the day, that's real. Real. So anyway, going back to what I was talking about, Miami's the only team that's a threat in the entire Coastal. After that, we have North Carolina Duke, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, Pittsburgh, Virginia. I mean, here's the deal. Let's look at Georgia Tech. Paul Johnson making that comment this week about we're proud of our academic standards at up there at or down there at Georgia Tech. We're proud of it. It was kind of a backslap at them going, hey guys, I can recruit who I can recruit, and you're not going to open up a degree for sociology and Parks and Rec. This is what I'm going to do. And he's going to run that 1947 offense. Now, I've heard people say that you cannot win with that offense. 1995 Nebraska was one of the best teams to ever step on a football field. Go look at who played for them. If you have the athletes, you can run almost any offense and you can win a national championship. I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but let's just stop before y'all all go on a bandwagon. Some of you agree with me, some of you won't. But think about this. Just humor me for a second. Who here among us remembers, I don't know, when this whole spread formation crap started coming up, how many experts, and I use that total sarcasm, said that you could not win a national championship or compete with the big teams using that offense? Who has two thumbs and remembers it? I do. I remember it just like it was yesterday. I mean, it's right up there, the time I walked in and I saw my grandparents making out. Try to get that image out of my head. Lord, just rip it out. So, the point is, you can run most sensible offenses with great athletes, and you'll do well. Alpha Wolf, I'm doing well. How you doing, buddy? You faring? You doing okay with your treatments and such? We hope you're doing good, Alpha Wolf. We're pulling for you, buddy. We're pulling for you and Sterling. I know y'all watch our videos, and it helps you get through some stuff. And we're there for you and truly praying for you, okay? Been praying for you, man. There we go, 81 Clemson. We are praying for Alpha Wolf. Doing good, just talking. I'm just doing a recap right now, or my thoughts on the Atlantic and the Coastal Division. I said Clemson's going to win. I think Florida State will continue to do what they do and grow. And if Taggart doesn't get them where they want him, they'll move on. They'll find another coach. Miami is, hands down, gonna win their conference. Virginia Tech does have Jackson. He is a talented player. I think they'll finish second. Now I will tell you this: I've read some books that has North Carolina finishing second, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, I think there's a coaching problem there. I think that there's a coaching problem, and I just think that they're going to have to. That something's going to change. Something's going to have to change but we have to do what we have to do, and I think that just looking at this, I say Miami is going to be the clear-cut Coastal Division winner. I think Virginia Tech will slide up in there into second, and then after that, it's a jumbled mess with Virginia being at the very bottom, Pittsburgh, Georgia Tech. They're going to beat one the next week and everything. It's going to look like a big old mess over in the Coastal because it's that jumbled up. Talk about some players to focus on this year from the ACC. I'm gonna mix in some Clemson players there, but I'm gonna mainly focus on other players that are outside the Clemson spectrum. But you will hear some Clemson names here. Ryan Finley's a good quarterback. He is at NC State. He lost Himes. You know, that's one of those deals there, man. Ryan Finley, he who does he have to work with around him? You know, he's got some players, but you know, Hines and Samuel, I mean, those were workhorses, and they're gone. Um, Also, AJ Dillon. AJ Dillon. Let me look at something right here. Got a few little notes I have written down here about AJ Dillon. AJ Dillon rushed for almost 1,600 yards last year. 5.3 per carry. At the end of the day, here's what I'll say about him. He's dangerous, but will they give him something to work with around him? Cam Akers, we know he's going to be a really good running back. I mean, he came in number 1 ranked running back in the country, playing for Florida State. He really had to take on more of a role last year than what you would imagined. Jacques Patrick's is down there. Of course, we have to think about really good running backs in the we have to think about Travis Etienne. You know, he's a Clemson guy, but as I said, you know, I'm trying to go outside of Clemson. We know that Clemson's got great players. I mean, just across the board. But in wide receivers, how mad would you be if the Gamecocks beat Clemson? Well, of course, I'd be pissed. But what I do come back to is they could win for the next 20 years, and we still got them by like 5 or 7 games. So it's funny that they went on that 5-year run. And we've nearly erased it, and they're still playing they're still playing highlights from 2013, and that's 5 years ago. I mean, how hilarious is that? I mean, time has come and gone. Austin Schubert do one on the Gamecocks. I am doing one on the Gamecocks near the very end, my friend. And as I said earlier, I don't know if you were on here, they will not allow me to drive back through Columbia by the time I'm done. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be life-changing for me, I think, in a good way. Just going to go a little quicker down some of these lists, some of these players. Mitch Hyatt, of course, on the line from Clemson. You got to think about Tommy Sweeney, who's a tight end, good player. Clellan Ferrell, Lawrence Wilkins, we all know about them. Some other players, Joe Jackson, DeMarcus Christmas, in the linebacker position, Shaq Quarterman, Michael Pinkney. See you, Bulldog. You take care of yourself. Yeah, it'll be 2030 and South Carolina will still bring up that streak. Here's one on Carolina, 126 years nothing, 1 conference, 1 division title in 126 years. The end. And that's really it. I mean, it really is. Going on, we got Michael Jackson from Miami, Jaquan Johnson from Miami. We've got the Ricky Aguayo, the Aguayo farm they got over there in Florida State. They just keep picking one. You know, it's hilarious. It really is. Some other notable players to mention is a couple of names I might have missed. Des Fitzpatrick, a good player. Jacoby Myers, Travis Horner. I mean, bunch of players I still could have mentioned. I kept out a bunch of Clemson players because, I mean, I kind of want to go outside the realm. But here's the deal I'm trying to come to, talking about the ACC. The ACC is not a difficult conference. It is what it is. One day I was talking to a college football fan, and it's been a long time ago. And we were talking, this is when Utah went on the streak. Now, how many of y'all remembers when Utah, it was Utah who played Alabama and beat the crap out of them. This is with Saban there. And I was talking about that game and how crazy it was and that their schedule, you know, they really didn't have that tough of a schedule. And he said, well, you know what? And he was not a Utah fan, but he made a great point. He said, you know, we always get caught up in these conferences playing each other who's really, really tough and everything. They beat up on each other. Everybody's like, oh, boy, we're the, you know, good games every week. But you get to the very, very end of the year, and at the end of it all, you have a team like Utah beat a team like Alabama, and you're sitting there going, holy crap. How did that happen? And the truth is they had to muster up to play one big game, and they win. And they not only won, they drug them. You know, I really don't know where to fall on some of this. I mean, it's good to sit and watch good football. It really is. But at the same time, sometimes we get too caught up in who's the toughest conference. In this case, you're looking at Clemson and Miami. Clemson and Miami, and I think that I think that's who's going to take the cake. I see some talk right here. Who do I think is going to start, Kelly Bryant or Trevor Lawrence? I'm going to say this. I think this is a developing story. I think that Dabo tipped his hand that he's been saying that Kelly Bryant's the man, and now he's retracting a little bit and saying, well, I think that they're both ready, and he's kind of saying that along the lines, just to go out and spit it out. Kelly Bryant's going to start. He's going to start. We all know he's going to start. You take out that loss to Syracuse that people try to pick him with. He got knocked out that game. I mean, he got knocked out cold. He didn't lose that game. He was out of it. He should have never played that game. They should have started someone else. They should have started Hunter Johnson, in my opinion. George, I always mess with people Miami telling them they can't beat you. That's fun. They hate it too. They talk trash. They're living in a shell. It's like us. We're living in what we've done recently. They're living in the shell of what they did back in the early 2000s and back in the early 90s and the 80s, when half their team literally had a corrections of facility number attached to them. I mean, really. And they're proud of it. They're proud of it. I know he got he got arrested for rape. Yeah, big deal. I'm like, I don't think I'd be proud of that. I gotta find another team to pull for. But that is fun to do. Bryant's gonna start. He's gonna start the season. He is 12-1 as a starter, or 11-1 or 12-1 as a starter. At the end of the day, he's gonna start. I think that he could play the entire schedule and go undefeated. The problem that Clemson's going to have is just like they had last year when they had to play Alabama. First of all, anybody who's having to play Alabama first round and Saban gets an entire month to prepare for them, I hate to say this, unless you have a Deshaun Watson, you're losing. You're losing. It just is what it is. You're going to lose that game. But a team who's going to make Bryant pass, and then we're hearing Jeff Scott talk about how Trevor Lawrence has absorbed a lot of the playbook already, and how he's just impressed. He said Deshaun Watson didn't even do this. You hear that? So you have all these amazing abilities that Trevor Lawrence has. Got to hit the road again. See Volunteer Roadshow. I'll be hitting you up. You take care. You be safe out there. Come through Greenville. Come see me. Let me know. We'll try to get together or something. Buy you a coffee. Hey, with Pigskin, he has my cell phone. Safe Travels Tennessee Roadshow. I will hit up Pigskin. Get that. I almost asked for it the other day, but I wanted your blessing first, because I didn't want to call you up and just say, "Hey, how you doing, Bob Dirkens here?" I just want to say this, and that's a great point right there. Our defense didn't blow it against Alabama. Our defense didn't blow it. And those boys, they come off the field, they're the perfect teammates. They give the perfect team answer, and they might even feel this way. That, well, we really let our team down. No, you didn't let your team down. Your offense let you down. ATN's concussed. That was a horrible pass interference. No call in the very end zone when one of Bama's players literally pulled T. Higgins' shoulder pads all the way down to his knees with the ball in the air. And that would have been a touchdown. That would have been a touchdown. That's why he was basically mugging him there in front of God and everybody. He gets hurt there. He's out of the game. We didn't try to move the pocket. Or you couldn't move the pocket. As I always famously say, there's one rule in fighting. One rule in fighting. If you know it, there are no rules in fighting. Especially when you start going down, you start grabbing for things to throw at people and hit them and smack because you see you're about to get your tail whipped. They could have thrown a Christian Wilkins back there. He's very athletic. Start throwing some blocks. At the end of the day, didn't do it. They closed up the playbook. They said these plays worked all season. If they don't, well, oh well. That's what happened. That's what happened. But Bryant's a good football player. I think he could get us undefeated again. It's just if somebody locks down on him and says, you have to throw against us, we lose. We lose. especially if they're an elite team across the board. Now, if their line's really good, but their DB suck, we can throw it up to one of these great receivers we have. Higgins, Hunter Renfro can catch everything that's thrown to him. Let's see, this year going to be like Deshaun Watson with C.J. Spiller this week. I wish, maybe to a point. But next Friday at 8, doing a call-in show, trial run through, work out the bugs. Everybody, y'all be paying attention to 8 o'clock. It's coming Friday. Volunteer Roadshow is going to do a call-in show. It's something I've been wanting to do, and I've been trying to figure out the logistics of it. But y'all tune in. I'm going to try to call in and talk to Volunteer Roadshow. It'd be a pleasure to speak to him live on the internet. So. But going back to that game and whether Lawrence, I think Lawrence is going to end up playing. The only thing that I hate to say is that I feel like if Bryant just makes a regular mess up just like anybody would make up, the entire crowd's going to boo. Now for that, I'm not for that. I'm not for that whole booing crowd. Kelly Bryant has given us numbers that 10 years ago we would have died for. 8 years ago we'd have died for. We'd been like, man, we want this guy running 12-1. So I think we need to leave the kid alone there. I've said I've wanted to see him change positions just for his draft stock because he's not going to go to the NFL as quarterback. Y'all know it. I know it. I mean, Lamar Jackson barely made it. I mean, it is what it is. But, and I'm about to close down here. I'm going to have to get something to eat. And, but I do want to say this, and I want to be very, very clear. We'll support Kelly Bryant 100%. Yes, they need to let Christian Wilkins do the refrigerator Perry thing. That would be fun. That would be cool. And that's what I've called for. That's what they should have done in the Bama game. They should have threw him back there blocking. Hey, y'all can't block him? I bet that youngin can. I bet he can give you some running space. And then you can dump it out to him. What about his knees? What about him? The guy moves all the time. He has guys chopping him. They know he's a threat anyway. Come on. But I think Lawrence will play. I think that if Bryant starts stinking it up, at the end of the day, I think that you're going to see Lawrence take over. I would not be surprised if he was a starter if he ended up taking over in the A&M game. SEC Dog, good stuff, Bobby. Glad you're going live now. Thanks, SEC Dog. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Y'all share these videos if you will. Y'all share them with everybody. You possibly can, and it's not just selfish thing. I just feel like we as sports fans, especially in college football, and we're in the South, we need more people who are bought into teams. Like I'm bought into Clemson, but I know what's going on with Georgia. I don't know as much as Uncle Lou may know about Georgia. He doesn't know about Clemson as much as I do. But we kind of formed this network, even though I don't know Uncle Lee. I have respect for him. I've never met him, never talked to him. I watch his stuff very good. Didn't even know he exists until last football season. Somebody said, hey, man, like your stuff, you need to check out a guy named Uncle Lou. He's great. But I feel like sometimes when we get online or we turn on our television and we have these guys who are called experts, and they have a lot of teams to keep up with. So I'm, I do give them that. But there's some guys who should know what they're talking about in certain aspects, and they don't. And then once again, come back to some of these big networks. I'm not anti-big network. Just out of nowhere, they start talking about some social issue or start just going out in left field. And I'm sitting there going, I'm new, but I've been looking for Clemson channels and found yours. Clemson Jacob, I'm glad you found it. You need to check out Pigskin Pete, too, if you hadn't. He's a good one. He knows Clemson football as well. He also talks about NFL, and he knows NFL teams good, too. I stick with just college football, specializing in Tigers in the Southeast. But throwing a chicken fan, and that changed quickly. That is funny. But in all seriousness, it's nice to be able to get on here and talk about football. We can disagree with each other. The thing that I like for the most part so far is that there's a lot of us who we might disagree, but we try to make a valid argument for why we think we believe what we believe. You know, you just coming up here and telling me, well, I'm a Gamecock and you're a Tiger and I think you suck and you're horrible. That doesn't cut it with me. Or you're always joshing on us and we hate it and we're going to come up and smack your wife in the face and punch your kids. I mean, go away. Go away. If you think you have a valid point for me, lay it out. Don't just tell me your team's the greatest. It's like Clemson 10 years ago. I'd have to get on here and say, hey, I'm a big Clemson fan. I'm a big Clemson fan, and I love them. These are games that I think they're going to win, but they're probably not going to beat Florida State. 10 years ago. Had to say that. Something like that. You know, around that time frame. The point is, I'm still going to be realistic about it at the end of the day. So it is what it is. But please share these videos. Subscribe if you hadn't subscribed. You'll get video updates. I've been uploading about every couple of days now. I'm also on Instagram at the Bobby Dirkens. At the Bobby Dirkens. I share a little stupidity here and there just to kind of help you. Like the other day, I was walking through a place, saw a woman. Whoever created leggings, I could put a pipe bomb in their car and kill them. I mean, all these legging wearing. One lady the other day had Aztec print on. She's walking, and I mean, it wasn't like I was gawking at her. Wasn't attracted to her at all, but she's walking, and that Aztec print was moving up and down real fast. All of a sudden, my eyes started, I almost had an epileptic fit, and I don't have epilepsy. But saw this woman out there the other day, and her rear end was chewing up her pants, and oh, nasty. Nasty stuff. You get to hear about that. So check me out on Instagram at TheBobbyDirkens. Well, y'all, I'm going to go because I got more crap to do, and tomorrow's Monday. None of y'all go blow your brains out. I know. But you need to subscribe here and let everybody know about it. Well, y'all, thank you so much. Bowser Nation, take care of yourself. Glad Roadshow could show up. Good to see SEC football, Georgia gaming. Glad you're on here. I'll have a good night. Hope you have a good night too. And share the videos, share the love. I will be back on here. And remember what I always like to end with. I love to end this. I'm Bobby Dirkens and I'm right. And if you disagree with me, you're wrong. Bobby Dirkens.